For 17 years, one actor has become very famous for one specific Marvel character throughout the X-Men franchise. From the very first X-Men movie way back in the 2000s to his own doing the entire X-Men original trilogy, two spin-off movies, a returning to the past, and even a cameo in last year's X-Men Apocalypse. That actor was Hugh Jackman himself, because he carried the Wolverine through the entire generation of superhero movies. But eventually, like all tales, his story has to come to an end. And that's exactly what happened in 2017, when a director who was famous doing the previous Wolverine movie gave us a satisfying conclusion to one of the greatest character arcs ever. What's good, everybody? My name is Nate, and on this 64th episode of The Road to Avengers Doomsday, we're taking a look at Logan. A simple, superhero movie that's not just that, but it's also a road trip movie, a bit of western, and a family story. And most importantly, a goodbye to a well-known character we grew up in the past 17 years. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show as we take you deep dive into Logan. So after the Wolverine came out in 2013, Hugh Jackman had been thinking really seriously about stepping away from the character. He has played Wolverine throughout an incredible amount of his time, but he didn't want his final appearance to be another standard X-Men adventure. He wanted something really different. Something that would allow Wolverine to finally have a proper ending. And that vision eventually became the movie we know as Logan. Following his successful direction with the Wolverine, James Mangold returned to do the Logan. But this time, he went very much further. He wanted Logan to feel less of a traditional movie. Mangold wanted Logan to feel less like a superhero movie and more like a grounded version. He took inspiration from classic western films and road trip movies. There are no CGI armies, there's no laser beams, not even a huge team. Instead, we follow a specific small group of characters trying to survive. Now, this movie really marks the final acting of Wolverine, led by none other than the one and only Hugh Jackman. This film has everything we see in for Logan, because we see him as tired, angry, and isolated. He's trying to protect the people he has left, and this isn't the Wolverine we see in the early movies. He is so much older and more vulnerable, and his powers are slowly fading, and at a moment he just doesn't feel invincible anymore. I gotta give props how Hugh Jackman does the acting. It is so powerful and incredible from start to finish. We get to see him at his most desperate state ever. So much ground. This movie takes so much inspiration from the Old Man Logan comics, which are pretty good. I recommend reading. But still, Hugh Jackman still delivers a pretty remarkable performance of this movie. And another great standout acting is none other than Patrick Stewart, who returns as Professor X. Now, he's been playing for nearly 2 decades now, but this Charles Xavier is now super different than the ones we see. He is elderly, and he's suffering from a problem with his brain. And it's a genetic neurological condition. And instead of seeing the calm mentor we see, he is confused and vulnerable, and he's deeply dependent on Logan. I gotta appreciate the real acting he does in this scene, even if it's just some small scenes we have. It's just so great to see how we see beloved characters turn to in their most downgraded version of themselves. Something's really wrong with them. And I gotta appreciate the storyline. It's pretty great. Now, this movie wouldn't be completed without one specific character in the movie, and that we introduced to Laura, who is played brilliantly by an 11-year-old Daphne Keane. Now, Laura is a young mutant with powers similar to Logan's, But the first for a few minutes of the movie, Logan didn't want anything to do with her. But as the story progresses, their relationship changes, and she becomes like a daughter to him. And it's really amazing how these two actors can be together. It's like a father and daughter moment. Like spending time with someone you know, even if they have the amount of time left. I gotta appreciate the amazing talent these two actors have. It is so great because I don't think any other father and daughter movie would be pushed at this length. This is like a true version I see in like my perspective. And it works pretty well. Now, what I love about Logan is it's his influence in the Western genre. This movie feels like a modern Western with lonely roads, deserts, ranches, and isolated characters. And it handles the theme of redemption and sacrifice really well. This movie makes it so clear that Logan's at the near finish line of his journey. And he's basically like an old gunslinger in those Wild West movies, trying to protect the last person he knows before riding off to sunset. And what I like about this movie is the way he had handled the rating. This movie has a really deep R rating. The filmmakers can really portray Wolverine in as much comic routes. And the action and the fights are really intense and violent, and I think like this movie deserved an R rating because Logan's no longer just his hero; he's just a wounded man trying to survive, and the dark tone really fits the character, and it's just like so really goes well from like what I see many years later when I watch this movie. The action is pretty brutal, like. For like fighting off against the armed soldiers and including an evil clone of himself, it's just like so brutal. Like how like Wolverine's at the point he's just at the point like how much his body cannot take this much damage. And we the audience like feel exactly what happened bad for Logan. He's trying to do what he can to help people, but there's always so many obstacles in his way. And I really like the direction this movie has. It's so fantastic. Now, the primary antagonist of this movie is Donald Pierce, who is played brilliantly by actor Boyd Holbrook. Now, his acting is pretty much great. He's like a cyborg mercenary, and I just appreciate like the amount of screen time he has. He's a pretty scary like sci-fi villain. Now, I previously said about like the X-24, but basically he's like the real MVP villain of this story. He's like a more feral version of Wolverine if he didn't met the X-Men or anything. And it's just basically fighting your own person. And I really like how like the theming and the acting, how everyone fights. It's just like one day you have to fight your own self to get through like the stuff you need to get through. And I really enjoy of how much it works on that personal level. And Logan is nearly fighting a younger version of himself, the person he used to be in the past versus the person he has become. And I gotta appreciate all that. The emotional core of Logan is pretty fantastic. The film starts with Logan just wanting to be alone. He doesn't want responsibility. But after when Laura shows up, it changes him. He just wants to be there for her, help her until the last thing of everything. And it really does a beautiful job capturing the last moments of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and the acting he does. It's just where it goes at a soul level so great. And I really love that so much what I see in Logan. Now, when this movie came out in March of 2017, no one knew exactly what the future of the franchise held for the X-Men series. But the movie was clearly designed as a farewell. Hugh Jackman had played Wolverine since 2000, and it's time for him to hang up the claws. And Patrick Stewart had been playing Professor X for so long, it appears their journey is over. And it just feels like an end of an era for both these characters, having played their roles to the maximum limit. Now for saying my thoughts. Personally, I enjoyed Logan. It's a great farewell to the beloved character. We get to see some great moments of him, and he really just likes doing this for the audience, and I really just love how it's done. Every actor is really fantastic, and I just appreciate the direction of everything it went through. But yeah, but now for one thing. Why does this move matters for the road to Avengers Doomsday? Logan appeared as the final chapter in Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, but the multiverse would change everything. It would be like many years later when Hugh Jackman will return as Wolverine in the 2024 movie Deadpool Wolverine, which I will do a video on that in the future. It would feature a crossover between the Merc with the Mouth and the Adamantium Warrior. That film is pretty great, and I can't wait to do a video on that pretty soon. Because Logan isn't just simply goodbye. It's what makes the history of Wolverine pretty fantastic. Like, we grew up watching this character until like the last appearance he is in. Logan's my favorite, and I just really enjoy the movie, and I think it really did was a proper closure for Wolverine. But yeah, I think... Wait a second. What's that? Again. Logan. That was an emotional movie. I find myself enjoying it a lot. Benny Who Logan? I liked it a lot, but I can't wait for our next crossover. Until then, Wolvie, see you soon. Deadpool out. Really, Deadpool? You gotta stop teleporting. Benny Who, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give a like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of Logan, and where does that movie rank in your your X-Men franchise numbers? But until then, I hope you all have a good day. Remember, my videos are just the thoughts, movies I review on a daily basis. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out, have a good day, and you're all fantastic.